Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stoss. This past week I was driving in downtown Omaha and needed to pull over to the side to take some notes while I was on a phone call. As I looked over to my left, I noticed an elderly gentleman who was sitting on a bench, and beside him were two little kids, probably about the ages of 3 and 5, and they were very intently engaged in the conversation. And in his hand he had something that he was showing them. And their little heads were drawn, and you could see this conversation going. And it was so enlightening to see them so engaged and so curious about what he was talking about. But he was giving them his full attention and sharing something and teaching them something about something they were interested in learning about. Also, this past week I was in an office that I do some consulting with, and I was walking down the hall and I overheard a conversation between a manager and one of his associates. And they were talking about conflict around a client issue that had occurred, and were problem solving and going through that issue, and came to a conclusion. And the neat part of it was, though, at the end of the conversation, the manager said to the associate, "Now, do you understand why we do that? Or do you understand the context of that?" And the employee didn't know because it was something new that he had dealt with. And so the manager took a couple minutes right at that moment to go ahead and share with him that extra information that maybe wasn't necessary at the time, but you could see the engagement of the employee as he was very engaged in the conversation and walked away confident and full of knowledge of something he hadn't learned before. And finally, I was sitting at lunch yesterday at a small cafe in Omaha here, and I had some 4 high school students behind me. They had their school uniforms on, and I was waiting for a client, and so I was sitting there observing and not eavesdropping, but I heard them talk about credit cards. And one girl had a comment about a credit card, and another girl said, "Well, my dad sat down and he taught me about credit cards and how much money you really spend on credit cards, and really how, they're not that great, even though it looks like you have a lot of money. You really, if you don't pay them right away, how much money that is." And one of the other girls said, "Gosh, I wish I learned that. I haven't been taught that." So all of these 3 stories are about one thing. They're all about taking time to teach. When we think about teaching, it's so interesting to see the engagement that can occur in teaching. So why don't we take the time to do it? Well, number one, it takes time. It takes time, and sometimes we're in a hurry getting our everything done from day to day, or we're on the run, and we really just don't take the time to teach. But sometimes it doesn't really take that long to teach. Now, some of us are natural teachers and some of us aren't. Some of us love to see the others grow and flourish and have an aha, and that's just very empowering for us to see that in someone. So many of us who have that talent, it's a natural thing, so we don't really have to think about taking the time to teach. But for some of us, no, not so much. We really don't take the time. We're really about getting things done, moving things forward, so we might have a tendency to just do it for someone. And as I say, we don't really take the time to teach them how to fish, we fish for them. So let's think about that a little bit more. What are the benefits for us if we take the time to teach? When we take time to teach, we really can first have that opportunity to share some knowledge, share something that we know, and give that to someone. That's kind of a gift to someone that they may not know that. And also just to be able to see somebody else grow. And if we pass that knowledge off, hopefully, if they're a good learner, the next time this situation comes up, they won't have to stop us and interrupt us with another problem because we have already passed that knowledge on and they can resolve the problem on their own. Now, what are the benefits to the learner? The benefits to the learner are just amazing. Now, again, we may or may not have the desire to teach. Some people may or may not have the desire to learn either. So sometimes it's that you have to recognize that learning ability of that individual or interest of that individual. Some people are really love to be a sponge and will ask lots of questions and love that time. Others may not. So you kind of have to read and understand who your audience is when you are teaching. But think about that knowledge that they've gained, the ahas that they can take away, and mainly that confidence to know that they know something more, that they can apply this the next time. And just to know that you've taken time with them, that's a great gift. So those are a couple things to think about for the learner. And sometimes when we look at our perspective, this might not be a topic that you think about. Who were your teachers? Sometimes if we step back and think about who taught me, and really think about what we valued and how important that is, there's really an ongoing piece to learning. And we really want to continue to learn and grow from maybe mentors and those around us. So think about how you could be a teacher to somebody else, even when you don't even realize that you're doing it. So let's think about positive charge for this week. First is step back and think about your teaching. When was the last time that you took the time to teach? Is that something you do on a daily basis or weekly? Or gosh, you can't remember the last time? So this week, I want you to take time to find 2 opportunities to teach. Again, this doesn't have to be long. This could just be a couple minutes of our time. Or it could be that time sitting with our children and teaching them something that we take for granted that's right around us every day and they may not know. And then the second thing is think about who your teachers were. Who are those teachers that you valued and respected, and what have you liked most about them? And continue to look for those opportunities to learn yourself. So this week, when you think about that opportunity to take a pause, the child that comes running up to you, or the teenager that really needs to know something about the car, or something about that paperwork or college or whatever it might be, or that employee who you can tell is maybe a little bit concerned or confused, take the time to give them a little bit more information, or at least ask the question. It is a great experience for both you and the learner. Thank you for joining us, and remember to get your mind on.